In this video, we're going to go over 9 things that I think will help you upgrade your cover band. Coming up. Hey guys, it's Kyle here from Bearded Man Music. In today's video, I want to go over 9 things that I think you and your cover band can do to help make your gig life easier. It'll mean you'll have more fun on stage, your audience will have more fun, which will lead to more bookings, and more importantly, the venues will love to work with you. So let's get into it. Number 1 is backing tracks. Adding backing tracks to your live performance can seem daunting. We've all been to shows where a band has had backing tracks and they have not necessarily been pulled off well. There are actually some really easy ways to add backing tracks to your band. One of them is using Ableton Live. With Ableton Live, you have full control over how many outputs you want to use in your live performance. The only thing that will limit you here is how many outputs your audio interface or your digital mixer will allow you to run. In my band, we run 14 channels out of Ableton. In these 14 channels, we really break down our click track, our guide track, and send everything to everyone on stage through their in-ear monitors who needs it. I'm going to be doing a more in-depth breakdown of how to purchase your backing tracks, set them up, and run them in your live performance. And when these videos are available, I'll link them in the description down below. Number 2 is upgrading your guitar gear. A lot of bands out there, their guitarists just use an amp on stage with some effects pedals. This limits how many tone possibilities that the guitarist can have. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. These guitarists are making the songs their own and using their tones that they've handcrafted using their gear. But this can also be very limiting and not allow the guitarist to explore as many different tone options as they possibly can. The second thing to think about when upgrading your guitar gear is how much do you want to emulate the original band. A lot of bands take pride in not emulating the bands and making the songs their own. But some bands just want to emulate exactly what the song sounds like. And that's where upgrading your guitar gear to a multi-effects unit to allow you to really hone in on the guitar tones that were used on the original song will be a massive help and will tie really well into using backing tracks, as mentioned before. There are a lot of options out there when it comes to multi-effects units to achieve this. My favorite one is the Helix. It's relatively affordable compared to some other options out there, but it's also a lot heavier equipped than some of the cheaper options. It works really well with MIDI, which again comes into play when adding your backing tracks because you can send commands out of your backing tracks to control your Helix or other multi-effects units. I'll break this down in future videos. Number 3 is upgrading your bass gear. Something I've found as a bass player is a lot of bass players are already on the upgrade train. This comes from the fact that bass amps nowadays are punch harder and have a smaller form size. Similarly, I know a lot of bass players don't use effects units. We simply use a smaller bass amp now. So what are we looking at when we're thinking about upgrading your bass rig? If you've already upgraded it or you're already on the upgrade train. I have a couple of suggestions. They all have to do with keeping the volume down at the gig. In one of my previous bands, we were slapped with having to be under 105 decibels at the gig. 105 decibels. This is very hard to do playing music live on a stage. Now that's very hard to accommodate when you have an 810 cab hammering out the bass. So I went to an FX unit straight into the desk. But this means that all the bass I was hearing when I was on stage was coming out front of house. So to accommodate this, what I did was I bought one of the new QSC K10.2 speakers. I used it as a floor wedge behind me. In the DSP of these speakers, they have a setting called bass amp. And I can tell you, it was one of the best bass amps I've ever played through in my entire life. The tone was amazing. But I want to take it one step further than this. I want to get rid of all speakers on stage completely. There's a few companies out there now that are making bass boards. These are bass boards that have a couple of kickers in the bottom of them that give you that rumble up through your legs. You simply stand on it and it's run off a PA power amp or a bass head. This will allow you to use a multi-effects unit, run straight into front of house and run to the bass board so that you can get that low end that we all love to feel rumbling through our bodies. I will explore these setups in future videos and I'll add the links to the description down below. Coming in at number 4 is upgrading your drum kit. Now I know a lot of you drummers out there are very similar to the guitarists with their tube amps. you don't want to get rid of your acoustic kit. So these first couple of options are a way that you can upgrade your kit and get more sounds out of it. These are triggers or drum pads. Triggers are little devices that clip to your drums and pick up the vibrations out of the skins. A drum pad is a little device that you would mount next to your drum kit that has a couple of pads on it, and you can preload some sounds onto those pads to trigger when you hit them. Next up from this would be trying to build a hybrid kit. You'd buy an electric kit and an acoustic kit and sort of mash them together to make a hybrid acoustic electric kit. This could mean having an acoustic bass drum with a single acoustic tom and an acoustic floor tom, and then filling in the space between the tom and the floor tom with some electric toms. You could even mix it up and have a couple of electric cymbals and a couple of acoustic cymbals, but just keep in mind now you're starting to add more setup to your drum kit. And if the whole point of this video is to cut down on the setup, make it quicker and easier for you to set up, then this may not be the option to go, but it will give you a lot of versatility when it comes to playing songs. Finally, the next option is to buy an electric kit. Now I know what a lot of you are thinking, electric kits are crap, but with the new mesh technology in the heads, they've actually come a long way from the old rubber heads. Now you can tension your electric drum kit to feel the same as your acoustic kit. Better yet, you can replace them. So if you wear them out, you don't have to replace the entire drum kit like you did with the old rubber heads. Before we get to the next one, I just want to say that the last couple of points are what I think are the most important and where you should definitely start when it comes to upgrading your cover band. So stick around for them. And while I have you here, I just want to take this opportunity that if you like this video, please slap that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on that bell notification so you get notified when all these new videos come out from me. Okay, at number 5 is adding a keyboardist to your band. Now, if you've already got a keyboardist, this doesn't matter to you. But if you don't have a keyboardist, I would highly recommend you considering adding one to your band. A lot of you out there may play songs that don't need keys, but I know that there's a lot of crowd favorites out there that are very key heavy. So your best option would be to add an awesome key player to your band. Short of this, go back to option 1 and start building backing tracks to add those key components in, because they're massive parts of songs. Coming in at number 6 is what I consider to be one of the most important, and that's lighting. You need to add lighting to your show. Now I know what you're thinking, lighting is expensive. And sure, some lights can be expensive. I know there's a lot of great deals out there for some affordable lights. Alternatively, you can jump on some swap by sell groups and find some really great lights secondhand. One of my favorite lights is a little par can from Light Emotion. When I checked this morning, you can pick one of these lights up for about $69 each. The beauty about this is that you can buy 4 to 6 of these little par cans for the same price that you can buy a really expensive par can. The model on that one, if you're interested, is the Vivid 0312. They're awesome little par cans. Just like above, I'm gonna do future videos running through some different lighting setups and going over some programs that you can use and how you can automate your entire light show through Ableton if you decide to go with backing tracks so that everything syncs up and it's super easy to run on show day. Coming in at number 7 is video. Now this is one of the most expensive things that you can add to your show, but there are also some affordable options. Where it becomes expensive is if you decide to add video to your show through purchasing your own LED screen. LED screens can be anywhere upwards of $20,000. Now I know not a lot of people have $20,000, so luckily there's some more affordable options. Another option that makes it more affordable for you is to find someone that already has an LED screen and hire them. The beauty of this is that they come with the LED screen, they set it up, and they run the video for you for your entire show. But doing this for every show will add up and it will become expensive. So I suggest that you don't do this for every show. If you're going to hire someone and their LED screen, you need to pick the shows that you do it for. My suggestion would be the big shows, the ones where the crowds are huge. You may also be lucky and play in a couple of venues that already have LED screens or projectors on the wall behind the stage. My suggestion would be to hook into them and start running video behind the band on stage. Alright, point number 8. Now this is hands down the most important upgrade that you can give to your band if you don't already do this. And that is move on stage. I can't count on my 2 hands how many gigs I've been to where all the players on the stage are standing there like stunned mullets. They stand there, they play their instrument, and there's like no motion to them at all, except for the up and down rhythm of their hand strumming their guitar. The best cover band shows I've ever been to is where you can tell the musicians are getting into the song because they're moving, they're dancing, the guitarist is doing flips, he's flinging his guitar around his neck. The band are moving. So next time you're on stage, and I know you might feel like an idiot doing it, but next time you play that chord, slam the guitar neck down into the ground. When you're soloing, go over and solo with the bass player. Just before the big drop, as the chorus comes back in after the bridge, everyone jump up onto the drum riser and jump down as you hit that first note. It's these tiny little things that will help you start to move on stage and will add so much more energy to your performance, which will give the audience what they want, and that's to have a good time and dance with you and interact with you while you're playing their favorite songs. And finally, at number 9 is upgrading your PA. Now there's a lot of things I'm going to put in underneath this topic because the PA encompasses a lot more than just your speakers and your mixer. But let's start with the speakers. My biggest suggestion for you to make it easier on you on gig day is to go and buy yourself some of those new DSP digital speakers. Now I'm not suggesting that you have to buy them brand new. There's tons out there on the second-hand market that'll help you save some cash. But buying these speakers will give you lighter speakers, means you're not going to have to cart around the old amps that weigh a ton, and ultimately they do sound better and they do punch harder. Next would be getting yourself a digital mixer. Now there's a lot of options out there when it comes to digital mixers, but a couple of points that make them great is the inbuilt effects processing. You get more outputs than the old analog desks, and you can save your shows within the desk and recall them the next time you play at that venue. What that means is if you had an awesome night, you sounded amazing and everything was on point, all you have to do is just hit that little save button and you can recall it next time you're playing at that venue. So you've got a really good baseline to start for sound check and the initial mix when you get back there. My next tip would be to upgrade to wireless microphones. Having wireless microphones cuts down on the time it needs you to run leads because you're going to build the wireless microphones into a rack with your new digital desk and have everything plugged in all the time. You can have all the power run in the rack, you can have all the audio cables run in the rack. So all you have to do when you get to gig day is place the rack down, set up a stand and hook the microphone in and you're done. You're ready to go. From here, my next point would be to get yourself some in-ear monitors. The in-ear monitors will cut down on the need to have any foldbacks to anyone on the stage, cutting down on setup time, but also giving yourself the freedom to move freely around the stage and still hear everything you need to hear. And the biggest point of all, giving you clarity of sound straight into your ear. Everything in this section is all about decluttering the stage, giving yourself ease of setup and making it super easy to pack up at the end of the night, so you can be on your way home and into bed as quickly as possible. With this section, I'll be going into huge depth in future videos. And again, I'll add the links to the descriptions down below. To summarize, there are a lot of things you can do to upgrade your cover band, not just for yourself, but for the audience and for the venues. It is of course relative to the gear you already have and what you want to achieve. But I personally have been dying to see some kick-ass cover bands going full Monty on their gear setup and giving an absolute awesome show with moving heads just cutting sick, video screen behind them, and the dance moves down pack. But that's just one man's opinion. If you have any questions about any of the points that I've raised earlier in the video, and would like me to cover them off in future videos where I go into more depth on everything, please leave it in a comment down below. Thanks heaps for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.